Hey guys, I'm Dorkk, and this is a simple video just to show my UI for Protection Paladin using Elvui and weak auras. I spent a lot of time adjusting my UI to fit my needs and wanted to share it in case it may be what anyone else is looking for. Links are provided below to import the Elvui profile and the weak auras, and I'll briefly explain each piece of the UI in this video. The first part of the UI is going to be the Elvui profile. The main thing to mention is that while I don't think it's necessary for the mana bar to be displayed in the middle, it unfortunately is required for other sections of Elvui to work as desired. Buffs and debuffs shown via the player unit frame only have 4 options of where to anchor to: the frame, health, power, or you can anchor the buffs to debuffs and the debuffs to the buffs. In the case of where I'd like to display the buffs and debuffs, the only viable option is to place the mana bar in the middle and to anchor them to the power bar. If having buffs and debuffs displayed in the middle like I have is irrelevant to you, you can turn off their display in the unit frames, individual units, player, and buffs and debuffs section in Elvui. And you could then go to power and unselect detach from frame, and if you want it a bit smaller, you can adjust the height to 15. I'm going to move on to the weak auras, but before I do, if you do decide to turn off buffs and debuffs and attach the power to the player frame, then in the weak aura group for primary CDs and general CDs, go to the custom options tab and uncheck the box for Elvui mana bar shown. This will move the weak aura groups to fill the gap with the mana bar gone. The group for primary CDs is the group with the largest icons and in the very center of everything. These are obviously your most used and basic abilities. These each just basically track the cooldown, but the consecration icon will also be grayed out unless you are currently standing in and buffed by your consecration. The cooldown for Hammer of the Righteous or Blessed Hammer, Judgment, and Hammer of Wrath will each show the number of charges and its cooldown, but the number of charges will only show in the case that the max charges is higher than 1. This being if you're using the Crusader's Judgment talent, or if you have the small smooth spike power in Torghast for Hammer of Wrath. The second group is for general CDs, located beneath the primary CDs group. This is for your basic spells that can be a little less in your face. Divine Steed is similar to Judgment from the previous group, where it will show the charges, but only if you're using the Cavalier talent to have 2 charges. Some auras in this group are set to only show while the spell is on cooldown, rather than always. The large CDs group is the one located directly above the player frame and is meant to contain your longer cooldown or defensive spells. These can be important, so they're a little larger than the general CDs and positioned to be a little more visible. Though I had not done so at the time of recording this dungeon, I've made it so the icons for the spells that cause the Forbearance debuff will turn red while the player is affected by Forbearance. The auras above the large CDs group are 2 separate groups. First is a group for Covenant abilities. This group I'm working on adding to as I level different classes. This will have the basic ability that everyone for a Covenant gets. In the case of Kyrian, it shows how many Vial of Serenity you currently have, or the cooldown on the Vial, or the cooldown on Steward if you currently have no Vials. Beside that, it shows the Covenant ability specific to your class. For Paladin, I have each Covenant except Night Fae, unfortunately. Other than Paladin, this group has Covenant abilities for Hunter, Demon Hunter, Shaman, Warrior, and has the Kyrian ability for Druid. The last group is the one beside the Covenant abilities, and this is for trinkets. This is a fairly incomplete group because I simply add to it as I get new trinkets and get the opportunity to test them and create the aura for them. I do have an aura for the Quantum device that I've compacted into a single aura rather than some who have a group of several auras, but I cannot promise it is 100% accurate. There are a few weak auras that I also use that are smaller, less important things that not everyone may need or want. First is a GCD bar that goes in the same space as the player cast bar because I prefer this GCD bar over adding the GCD sweep to all of my auras. Next is a simple weak aura that flashes if you do not have a Paladin aura currently active. This does not pop up if someone has just casted Aura Mastery, in the case that they wind up overriding your aura. Next is a small group containing tank taunt cooldowns, which currently only has the Paladin and Demon Hunter taunts. Last is a group for tank shield abilities that will show up on the player health bar and show the duration and shield amount. This currently is made for Paladin First Avenger talent buff and for Druid Legendary Ursoc's Fury Remembered. Auras that I am not responsible for making, but I'll mention because I've slightly edited by resizing and repositioning them to fit my UI that may be useful for anyone that's going to use this UI, are weak auras for Castle Nathria and Shadowlands dungeons. I'll provide links to the original creators if anyone prefers to use their work, but I will also have the edited versions included in my own collection. This has been my complete Paladin UI, and I will provide links to the collection of all these auras to be able to import and choose which auras you'd like to use. If you liked this video, I'll likely be trying to make one for my Hunter and other classes' UIs. Most of my UIs are built nearly identical to this one, and in my opinion, it should be easy to edit any of these for the class that you play. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll try to respond and help. Thanks for watching.